A few notes. Names and several identifying details have been changed for peace of mind. Trigger warning for mentions of assault. In 2013, I was assaulted while working a 3-month-long summer stock gig set in an isolated patch of woods. The incident occurred at the beginning of the summer, which meant I spent the remaining 2.5 months living and working in the same claustrophobic space as the man who assaulted me. On weekdays, I tried to forget while seeing him at every turn, cooking meals in the communal kitchen, leaving the showers, and during rehearsals. Sometimes we had a few days off and he went home. Other times he didn't. There was no knowing week to week if he would be there or not. Rehearsals were particularly stressful. As an intern, I still had a lot to prove. Directors were looking to see the interns take initiative and be the first to volunteer to do exercises in front of the cast. At the start of the summer, I was locked in, doing every exercise, every improv scene, every silly bit. Out of 8 interns from the previous year, 4 of us were brought back. Would we all make it onto cast the next year? Footnote, no, we would not. Somehow it would be only me. After the incident, my eagerness vanished. There was no knowing who my scene partner would be, and every chance I'd be stuck in an improv scene with him. And if he wasn't my scene partner, he'd be watching, which was somehow worse. All day, every day, my skin felt tight and hot, like it had been badly burned and would reignite if someone touched me. There was a constant buzzing in the back of my head, a pressure on my chest, a numbness in my limbs. I was on fire, I was drowning, I was frozen, all at once. When the show opened, weekends were different. Yes, he was there, but so were thousands of other people. And me? I wasn't really there at all. I was a character, an indefatigable buffoon who walked on stilts, ate rats, and had never been lured to a dark corner of the woods by a man. She could walk past him multiple times a day without flinching. He meant nothing to her. I was not an amazing performer, nor did I ever become one. I became passable, and I found my audience. Children who were eager to play make-believe, and adults who had almost forgotten how, but were ready to remember. Another audience found me, one I did not yet understand. Men. In my first year, I was fresh out of high school and looked younger than my 18 years. It's disturbing to me now how many men of all ages were eager to pursue someone with such a baby face, often without pausing to make sure I was 18. I wouldn't find out until later that Luke was one of those men. He was a former cast member who visited as a patron. He saw me, he liked what he saw, he went home and discussed me with his wife. They looked at my pictures on Facebook like I was a mug they were buying on Amazon, and they decided together to add me to their cart. Between my first and second summers, Luke's wife had a baby, and he auditioned to return to cast. I will never forget the first time I saw him. I had just finished moving into my loft on the fairgrounds and was eager to be back on my stilts. Stilt walking on the fairgrounds is radically different from stilt walking on the fairly evenly paved sidewalks of Manhattan. The fair is set against a gravelly hill littered with tree roots, clumps of grass, uneven wooden stairs, and trenches carved by rainstorms. The first time I tried it my previous year, I cried my eyes out in terror, fat tears skipping off the surface of my broad Tyvek Elizabethan clown ruff. I was so happy to be back, to reunite with old friends and to make new ones, to learn and laugh and eat up as much time in the woods as I could before heading back to the city. I pulled my stilt straps tight and stood, picking a looping path from the bottom of the grounds to the top. I stopped to say hi to everyone I knew, teetering over them as they unpacked. Footnote, an added benefit of being on stilts was that I could pace myself on the giving and receiving of hugs, something that has always given me intense anxiety. No one can give you a hug you're not ready for when you're swaying and creaking on top of 2 5-foot sticks. Footnote to this footnote, no one reasonable anyway. Patrons have tried, either by hugging my stilts, not good, climbing on top of something else, all right but a lot of work for everyone, or jumping, very, very bad. I made it to the top of the grounds, the parking lot. I did a loop around some trees before tottering back toward the main buildings. One building had external stairs leading up to a balcony. It was on this balcony I saw a cluster of people, some I knew and some I didn't. I waved, but before I could get closer, someone vaulted off the balcony and ran toward me, a wide grin plastered across his face. I did not recognize him at all. I couldn't fathom the reason for this gesture, but I was flattered. "I've been looking forward to seeing you. I'm Luke," he said when he was close enough. "Nice to meet you, I'm Alice." "I know," he said. You could have knocked me over with a feather. It wasn't that he was handsome or charming, he wasn't, But I'd just spent the year living in NYC, a place where everyone is special and thus no one is special. It puts you in your place real quick. So, special attention? Hell yeah. I was both hungry for it and shocked to receive it. I've never been good with names. I didn't realize until much later that I'd heard his name long before meeting him, in conversations between women. I listened, of course, but let his name float around unassigned and unremembered. I naively did not believe it would ever be relevant to me. His reputation preceded him, if only I'd been paying attention.